One frustrating thing that I notice when watching vegan activists or people who promote a vegan way of eating online is that a startling number of them look quite unwell. It would appear that they use the vegan diet as an excuse to foster their unhealthy relationship with food. It's the perfect cover, as veganism is still seen as a morally superior way to live in a growing number of people's eyes around the world. We live in a time in which it's become socially unacceptable to comment on people's appearance, even when your heart is in the right place. It's almost impossible to comment on how a person looks too thin without being accused of body shaming. The same, of course, goes for if the person is overweight or obese. It is especially difficult to comment on the way that vegan children look without it being seen as some form of bullying. So I want to preface what I'm about to say again with a clear declaration of intent. My intent is not to shame anyone. My intent is to highlight what I see as something that is detrimental to society and to get people to understand what may be going on under the surface. I will also make it clear that I do have a bias. I tend to be more forgiving with people who are weightier than people who are lighter. I will try as best I can to not allow that bias to get in the way of what I'd like to say. An observation that I have made is that going vegan gives a very good cover to what would ordinarily be easily recognized as difficulty in making appropriate food choices. Many people struggle with such quote-unquote disorders, and I sympathize. But again, I can't help but notice that, for example, raw vegans, fruitarians, and the like are spreading a very dangerous message to their audience. It's one thing to want to help people by genuinely being convinced that what you are doing is the right thing, but it's another thing to be an improper influence on people, while simultaneously understanding that there are a lot of people who are watching who may feel justified in maintaining their unhealthy relationship with food through your influence. There is such a thing as being too thin, there is such a thing as being too big, and there is a happy medium somewhere in between. A person doesn't have to be big if they don't want to, they don't have to be small if they don't want to. It's only about the message. The next time you watch one of your favorite influencers, try to do it with a clear enough mind. Imagine you were a doctor or their parent. Would you genuinely be happy with the way that they looked? Would you genuinely have no concern? I, for one, feel a great deal of sympathy for them when I see how much they are struggling. On the other hand, it is especially worrying to learn that parents force their children into a life of malnutrition as well. For many of these people, if not all of them, they had the advantage of being well-fed enough in their youth that they could properly develop.
I'm vegan, and my kids are too. Why? Because I forced them to be.
I start to lose my sympathy when I realize that they're putting their children through something that they may not be able to come back from. When you're an adult, you can make decisions for yourself. If this is what you want to do with your life, so long as you're a productive member of society, the rest of us have nothing to say to you. It isn't our right to force it onto your children, or to be a bad influence on children either. Humans are impressionable. We are easy to manipulate. It's important not to let yourself be taken advantage of. Jumping into the vegan lifestyle because it's the perfect excuse to undereat or overeat, and letting the body positivity movement dictate how you see yourself can be a scary combination. Listen to your body, let it speak to you, and trust that voice more than the people you see on social media. It's the first step to developing a healthy relationship with your body and with food.